love being out in nature and being on the deck of that bass boat.
Yeah.
That's one of my driving forces to make sure that I do the right thing for the right reasons in the right situations. What about you?
You know, laid up in the hospital, being all blowed up. Didn't know if I was ever going to be able to do any of this stuff. Not just fish, but be with the kids or do their sports, show them how to do this, you know, let them experience this.
How do you think it affected Sandy with everything?
Oh gosh, it was detrimental to her.
You know, my wife, we've been married now 38 years. And to know what I did, taking the shortcut I did to put her and my family in that situation.
You had 2 young boys at the time. How did you tell them what had happened to their dad?
When I hung up and told them, the youngest was, "Is he dead? Is Dad dead?" And gosh, that's a hard one. That's a hard one to hear.
I don't remember any of that. I woke up and having everything with staples all over my body. Just staples everywhere. My shirt was burned off of me. It was gone. I had a trophy buckle on. It had melted and gone away. My pants were down around my ankles. You know, my clothing was gone. That's all. That's about all I can remember because I closed my eyes and turned until it quit.
So Shane, 21 years ago, April 4th, tell us what happened that day.
Well, went to work and I was an electrician and we were working on 5th and Waller, downtown Austin. We were working in a building. We were just finishing up, getting ready to turn power onto the building. The general contractor came to us. He called an audible for the day and said, "Hey, we're ready to turn this over today. Can you get this done today?" And I said, "Okay, well, we got procedures we got to go through. I need to call the city, get them to pull the power. We'll lock tag it out." And at that point, he pretty much interrupted me and said, "No, we're not calling the city. We're not going to have them come out here, disconnected, and they get called somewhere else to go do something, and we have to wait 4 or 5 hours to get it back out here and get them to turn it on. You can do this. You do it all the time. If you can't do it, we'll call somebody else that can." We got ready to do it, so I took me and a foreman that was working with me, and I said, "Let's go out there and take care of this." So we went out to do it, and at that time, in our area, from our knowledge, everything was common practice that if you had to work on the load side of something, no problem. You could work on the load side with the line side being hot. So to give you an idea, you had 10 conduits coming in the bottom with 4 wires in each conduit. And you had 10 wires coming in the top with 4 wires in each conduit. Well, I was working on one gear and I'd finished mine, and my foreman was working on the other gear. And when I got finished, I asked him if he needed help finishing up his. He said, "Yep, start putting the covers on." So as I started putting the covers on, I was using a ratchet similar to this one, and put it in. I was ratcheting them in, and at that time I was a little thinner than I am now, so I was just squeezed between a brick wall and the gear. And as I was putting in the last screw on the last cover, ratcheting it in, I bet I wasn't 2 more cranks from it being done. That screw penetrated one of the wires, and when it penetrated the wire, it created an arc fault. When it created the arc fault, it blew a hole in the side of the gutter, or the side of the panel, big enough to put a football through. When it arc flashes, it goes from a phase to ground, and that's what creates the flash. But being in the confined gear that it's in, it flashes, and then it flashes over to the other phase. Now you got an arc fault, and it just keeps feeding off itself until everything is pretty much vaporized. And when it happened, it was like a fire hose, just like a fire hose full force coming out. Just pushed me up against that wall, turned my head. You could hear the noise just coming out. At first it was just constant, and then it was in bits and spurts and coming out and hitting you. And that's about all I can remember, because I closed my eyes and turned until it quit. And when it quit, I stepped out between the gear. And like I said, I could see the bones in my hand, my ligaments, and just skin just dripping off. It was just a constant pain. And the first 2 guys, the eye contact I made was the general contractor that told me that I needed to do this, that he was going to call somebody else if I couldn't do it, and the owner. The owner was like, oh my God, did I just kill somebody? Window.
So from the incident that happened, shortly after the power was turned off, you lost consciousness and it was a blur for quite some time afterwards.
Yes, it was a blur for, so I went to the hospital. When they flew me to the hospital, in San Antonio, I don't remember any of that for over a month. I was just, if you could say, maybe a chemically induced coma.
I got a call from Melanie, who was a secretary at Shane's work, and she told me that he had been in an accident. And I jumped in my car and drove as fast as I could to Breckenridge Hospital.
Had you known at the time what had happened?
I didn't know exactly what had happened. I knew that he had been burned.
How was the drive from home to the hospital? What was going through your mind?
I was just praying the whole time that he was alive, that he would live through it, because I realized from Melanie telling me what had happened that it was quite severe.
As a mom, as a wife, what went through your mind at that time?
Oh my gosh. I think I was just so overwhelmed by what was going on. You know, initially, you know, talking to the boys, you know, told them, you know, I gotta go, Dad's been in the accident and he's at the hospital, I'm gonna go check on him. But then it was all, you know, just seeing him laying there thinking, oh my gosh, you know, what, please live. So they had him, you know, laid in the bed, and they were trying to get him intubated so they could get him on the stretcher ready to get in the helicopter. And they had all that equipment there, and it was an ugly scene.
I looked like I belong in the apocalypse. But I remember my kids coming in, and my youngest kid, the first time they saw me, my youngest one, telling his mom, I thought we were coming to see Dad. This is not Dad. Where's Dad at? And she said, no, this is your dad. This is your dad. But I was so doped up on painkillers and the morphine, I couldn't respond to him. All I could do was just hear what he said, and that was tough. They had to grow up fast. They had to be more responsible for what they were doing. They had to help their mother. And looking back on it and thinking about it, yeah, it makes me emotional to just know that I did that. And I could have had every control over it not to do that. It impacts not just you. You're going to live through the accident. The indirect impact it has on your family and loved ones, and the trials and tribulations it puts them through, the things you miss, the things you can't do, the things you do normally every day that you have to pay somebody to do for you. There's what happens in your life, the trials and tribulations happen so that you can use that for something good. Make safety a priority and do it the right way. Recognize the hazards, speak up, speak out. What we practice now are 4 R's. Use every one of them to make it the right way and do it the safe way. And if that would have happened, we wouldn't be talking about this today. Safety's paramount. If you do it right, the end result is going to be absolutely fabulous. You're going to live to fish another day.
So I got a deal for you. Let's get out of these stiff shirts, put our fishing shirts on. Let's go hit the water.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna put your life jacket on your seat. Put those on in just a minute. We make good work choices, good safe choices at work. And we run through our checklist, we plan, we communicate, we execute, so we can come back and work again tomorrow and again the next day, so we can provide for ourselves and for our family. When we're out on the water, we plan, we run through our checklist, we make other people aware of what we're doing, so we can come back the next day and go after those fish yet again.
If this reaches one person, and that one person makes a decision to do it the safe way and not take that shortcut, then this has all been worth it today.
If it reaches 1,000 people or 100,000, and I can get 2 people, then it's all been worth it today. To just share my story, to hit that one person, to keep them from this happening to them, then that's what we're here for today, to get that done. So, take the safe way, do it the right way, don't take the shortcuts.